Hello everyone. Let's start today's lecture. In beginning, let me give you some overview about the content or the topics that we are learning, and then we will move towards the content. In physics, the first chapter that we have talked about is the kinematics. So this kinematics that we have understood is basically a part of a bigger thing called mechanics. So what we are discussing as of now is mechanics. This is a branch of physics that deals with two major concepts or chapters you can call. One is a kinematics and another is a dynamics. So kinematics and dynamics together makes the mechanics. What we have understood in kinematics that if there's any object, then by using the kinematics we can find the position, the velocity, and the acceleration, and the relation between these or among these quantities. That means basically we described the motion. So it's about motion, and that you described how the motion is taking place. Now we are going to move towards this another part of this mechanics, the second part, which is called dynamics. In this dynamics, we will not be describing the motion. We have already learned how to describe the motion. Now we will be focusing the cause of motion. That means why a motion takes place. So cause of motion is called dynamics. Okay, and this is description of motion. So first we have learned how to describe a motion. For that you need to know acceleration, then you can find velocity, then you can find position. Now we will be focusing on cause behind the motion. So when any object is placed, let's say this is object, and if it starts moving, then we need to bother why this object starts moving, right? What is the cause? Then you'll find there are two types of motions basically. One is a translatory motion, another is a rotational motion. Let me give you an example. Let's say this is an object and that starts moving on a table. Let's say book is placed on a table, and if you push the book starts moving, right? And similarly, let's say talk about the ceiling fan. If you switch on its switch, then you'll find it starts rotating. So that means if we take the example of book that is moving on a track, that means that's a translatory motion. And if you consider the example of the fan, that is not a translatory motion. The fan is not moving, rather it's a rotating. So both have their cause. There are two types of cause. One cause is a force. So when we apply a force, just like in the example of book, then you'll find the object starts moving, and that motion is called translatory motion. Hence the dynamics is called translatory dynamics or translational dynamics. That means the cause for the translational dynamics is force. So we need to learn what the force is and how this force causes the motion. Another branch of this dynamic is rotation. That is, if you consider the example of fan, then you'll find this fan starts rotating, and in order to rotate it, there is the cause, and that cause is called torque. So torque is the cause for rotation, force is the cause for translation, and these together, they together makes it dynamics. So now we are moving towards the dynamics, that means cause behind the motion. And in this cause behind the motion, first we will be focusing upon translational motion. That means we need to understand about force and how this force causes motion. And once we have understood the cause behind the motion, how this force causes motion, we have already understood how the motion takes place. That means we can describe the motion. Then we will be knowing completely about motion, whether it's related to cause or related to description. And when we complete this rotational, then it will be covering the entire aspect of mechanics, and these mechanics aspects will be applicable in future parts as well. So that makes a very basic part of the physics, hence it has been placed as a first part of this physics syllabus. So this is very important for you to understand. That means you need to be master on this mechanics part, And first you have understood the kinematics. Now let's move over dynamics. The first part is translational dynamics, and this translational dynamics in short we call it as NLM. That's called Newton's laws of motion. So Newton's laws of motion describes translatory dynamics. So we will be learning Newton's laws of motion, and we will start from force. First we understand what the force is, how it acts, and what causes the force to cause the motion. Okay, so let's move ahead. So first quantity, and or we can say the most important quantity of this translatory dynamics is this force, because this force causes the motion. And if we need to define this force, how we can define it? We can define it this force as this is an interaction. So this force is an interaction, and this interaction between two objects. So force is an interaction between two objects that is in the form of that is in the form of pull or push effort. Generally we define this in this manner, and what it means, let me talk about. It says it's interaction between the objects. So if there are two objects, they are interacting, so that interaction is called as a force. This interaction is generally in the form of, either it is in the form of pull effort or it is in the form of push effort. So basically it's effort. So we can say, what is a force? Force is an effort that is acting between two objects in either the form of pull or in the form of push. Let me explain this by an example. Let's say a very simple example. In basic example we catch, this is a ground. On this ground, let's say an object is placed, and this is the simplest object that is placed. Let's call it as a block. It carries mass. There are two objects, or two objects which are interacting. You can see one object is this ground, another object is this block. So these two objects are interacting, and this interaction is through this contact surface. So there's a contact surface. The two objects are in contact. Now you'll find this interaction, that means there is a force acting between ground and this block. Because there's an interaction going on, so that interaction is called force. Now we can think of what type of this interaction is, whether it's a pull effort or push effort. So let's see, we draw this block separately, and we draw the ground as well and separately. So if we look the ground like this and the block this and try to understand what goes inside. So this block carry a mass, right? Because of this mass, if you left this block in air, let's say you left it in air, will that stay there? No, it won't stay there. It will come downside. It will come downside because ground was, or earth was pulling it. But it is not coming here in this particular situation. You find it is at rest, or you can say it as equilibrium. No force is acting in nutshell. So you'll find this block is not coming downside because the earth is pushing it up. You'll find earth is pushing the block upside. So this ground is applying a force like this. So we will draw a force like this. This force is being applied by the ground on this block. Not at a single point, it's going to be at all the contact points. So you can think of the ground pushes the block in the upward direction. And what the block is doing on the ground, this interaction is equal and opposite. You'll find this block is pushing the ground downward direction. So it will depend on us what we are looking at. Whether we are looking for this block, then you see on block the force is being applied by the ground. And if you are looking at the ground, then you can say ground is subjected a force by the block. So block is applying a force on the ground is applying a force on the block, which we can draw like this. Making sense? So which type of this effort is? Can you see this is a push effort? Now push effort is between two objects. One is the ground, another is the block. And this effort is called as a force. We can denote it like this. This is force F2. That means force acting on 2. And we can call this red color that I have drawn, this is force F1. Later you'll find, as per the third law of Newton, they are equal in opposite. That means this F1 is going to be equal to F2 in magnitude. And directions, you can watch, their directions are opposite. So point is, whenever there is an effort, that effort is called force. This is because of interaction. It can be either in the pull form or it can be in terms of push form. This is an example that you understood is example of push effort. Let me give you one example of pull effort as well. So in order to see that pull effort, let's take another example. And let's say there is a wall, and in this wall a person is pulling a string, or let's say there is a string connected with this wall, and this string is being pulled by a person. So this person is pulling it. Now, if you want to see what is happening with the wall or with this string, you have got to know about a string, something about a string in constraint motion. So you can see the wall separately, or you can imagine how the wall is going to look like and how the string is going to look like. So let me draw this wall and separately draw that string. If I draw this string, this is going to look like this. You'll find this string is being pulled by the person. So this person is applying a pulling effort. Let's call it as F. Later on we will call it as a tension, because we know that's a tension. And if this is F, then you'll find this string will also be pulled by this side, because the tension acts on both the side, right? So that's also going to be F. But where it was connected on the wall, this string was pulling the wall as well. If you can call it as F1 and F2, then you can claim F1 and F2, they are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. Now you see this point of the this wall, which was tied with this string, is being pulled, right? And this string is also being pulled. So that means this is a pull effort. Even if you draw this person, what is happening to this person, then you'll find this person is being pulled by a string. Now, so that you can combine these, you combine this with this, they will be equal and opposite, which were in contact. So wherever you think about a contact and the force in between, the forces are always equal and opposite. Similarly, you see this contact and this contact, the forces are equal and opposite. Now you see this person is being pulled by the string is being pulled by the person. Similarly, this wall is being pulled by the string, and the string is being pulled by this wall. So all they are pulling each other. Just like in this example, earlier example, you saw there was a push effort going on. Now here is a pull effort that is going on. And these efforts are called force. Okay. You will find numerous forces, and you can start feeling when you are standing on the ground, then you'll find the ground is pushing you up. If ground does not push you up, you will go inside the earth, which is not feasible. That's why the ground keeps on pushing you up. Let's say you start standing on water. When you start standing on water, then you'll find you will go downside, because water will not be able to push you that high, sufficiently, which you require to maintain yourself on the surface, right? So that's a push effort you can think of, and you are also pushing the ground downside. Of course, when you are sitting, then you are pushing the stool downside. Stool is pushing you up. Now this effort force that you might have understood, and you might have a knowledge earlier as well. Some more point we can talk about this. This as a SI unit. The SI unit that we use for this is Newton. N for Newton. And the most important point is that this is a vector quantity. When we say it's a vector quantity, that means whenever we need to add, multiply, or do whatever, this force, it must be following vector algebra, that means rules of vector, right? So all the rules of vector has to be applied in all operations of force, and we have already learned about this vector, so it will be just application of those those concepts, right? Now we will move forward and we will try to learn about some important forces which are very common in our daily life, or we can say which are very common in the beginning. So we will try to know what these forces are, how they act. Since they are vectors, we will try to learn what their magnitude is, what their direction is, and once we have done with this, then we will talk about Newton's three laws, and probably you have idea about, and then we will try to use those Newton's laws in order to solve the problem. So before we understand or talk about those forces which are important, let's talk about the type of forces. So force can be categorized as four types. There are four types of forces as written over there. It's electromagnetic forces, gravitational forces, contact forces, or nuclear forces. We can also categorize like this. There are two types. One is a contact, and rest of these can be categorized as a non-contact. So sometimes we also categorize as a contact force, contact versus non-contact. So non-contact forces include, you can think of electromagnetic forces, gravitational forces, and nuclear forces. Why this kind of nomenclature? You can think of a contact means when the interaction between the two objects is taking place while the two objects are in contact. Just see the example that we have just talked about. If on the ground a block is placed, so ground will be pulling this block up, pushing this block up, and then this block will be pushing the ground down only if they are in contact. Similarly, see this example, this string is being pulled, which is connected to the wall. So this string is going to pull the wall only if it is connected. If there is no contact, then this force will not be there. So that means this is because of the contact. This is interaction because of the contact. So they are called contact forces. That means for contact forces, there has to be contact between the two objects when they are going to have this kind of interaction. Non-contact is such an interaction for which there is no need for the two objects in which the force is acting to be in contact. Even the objects are not in contact, still they interact, still they apply a force on each other. For instance, let's say talk about the same block, and let's say ground is there. Let's say that's earth basically. Now you find that if you release this block, then it will be going downside. This is going to downside because earth is pulling it. That's because of the pulling nature of earth. That means earth is applying a force on this. This force that we call a gravitational force. This gravitational force is non-contact force. That means this is a non-contact force that we have that's why we have placed it in non-contact category, right? Now you should not get confused when I said that this block is going to push the ground and ground is going to push this block. Now this pushing force is from the ground is because of this contact. That is not the gravitational. Now gravitational force is always pulling. That means earth pulls all the object towards it. And for object to pull, the object should may be or may not be in the contact with the earth. Even this object comes in the contact, still it's going to pull it down. This is pulling. Because of this pulling, then this ground has to give the reaction to push it. And that pushing reaction, I was talking about this. So that pushing reaction is because of contact. And this pulling force is always there. For this pulling force to be there, object may be or may not be in contact. That's another example. That's example of non-contact. Another example that you can think of, you will be studying later on, or in 10th you might have gone through. If there is a charged particle and there is another charged particle, Even though you are not placing them side by side, that means you are not making them in contact, still they are going to interact, and they are opposite sign, then you will find they are going to attract each other, or whatever the rules are. Rules we can learn later on, but the point is there is going to be interaction even they are not in contact. Such forces are called non-contact force. If the force is coming due to contact, they are called contact forces, right? And here for us, the important forces will include, as in the beginning, one is going to be gravitational force, and then this contact forces. In contact forces, we will be learning about normal reaction. We will be learning about tension. This is the same tension that we have talked about earlier. We will talk about it in detail. And then friction. And then there's going to be one more called spring force, which is also comes frequently, spring force. So these are the forces we will be talking about for basic understanding. Electromagnetic force you will be learning later on in electrostatic chapter, nuclear in nuclear physics. So that will be learned later on. Sometime it is asked, what is the order of strength? That means these are the four types of forces that exist in this universe. So what is the order of their strength? That means which force is maximum value, has which force has a maximum value, then what is the order? So if sometimes the order is being asked, you follow this order. The strongest force among them, these four, is this nuclear force. So nuclear force is the strongest force. Sometimes this is called strong force. Nuclear force is also known as strong force because this is the strongest. Then comes this electromagnetic force. So second order of strength is electromagnetic force. Next is this contact force, and which is also known by the term called weak force. And the least strength is of gravitation. So gravitation force is having least value among these forces in their order of strength. Now we will be moving forward and talking about the important forces, gravitation as a non-contact and the contact forces. When we talk about them, we will basically focusing on their magnitude, their direction, and their point of action. Among them is called Earth's gravitational force, or we can call it as a weight, or we can simply call it as a gravity force. So this gravitational force due to Earth acts on all the objects that carry a mass. And if there is an object given to us, we can easily find out what that force is. That means what is its magnitude and what is its direction. So let's say there is a block, and this block is having a mass m. Let's say this is Earth, or we can call it the ground, because when we see the Earth appears to us as a flat surface. So we generally draw like this is the observer. Then you'll find this will be experiencing a force downside. So this gravitational force acts towards the Earth's surface. So direction is always towards the Earth's surface, which is downward. So you can call it as a downward because objects are found only on the above the Earth's surface. So it will be acting downside. So that's called force due to gravity. So we can write it as Fg, G for gravity. So that's a force due to gravity. What is the magnitude? If we need to write the magnitude of this force, I'm going to write as a force due to gravity is equal to mass of the object and g. So it's a mass of the object and g. Mass of the object will be given to you. G, you know, we have already talked about, g is 9.8 meter per second square. So you can write as a 9.81 meter per second square. How it is coming, you will be learning it in detail in a chapter called gravitational. So gravitational is a separate chapter. You will be learning how this force is coming. As of now, you need to remember this is the magnitude. Sometimes we also write it as by W, W for weight. So weight of the object is mg. And its direction is towards the Earth's surface, that means downside. So you can say direction, so where is the direction? Towards the Earth's surface. Remember it in this way, towards the Earth's center. Earth center. This is the complete information. Sometime it might happen that somebody is large enough and watching the earth from outside or something like this, and then you maybe ask it, that find the direction of gravitational force. So you need to always draw it toward the earth center. So if the object is here, then you can draw. If the object is here, then still you can draw. Even if the object is here, you can draw the direction of gravitational force. So if earth is looking like this for a person or observer, then this gravitational force will be toward the earth center. Here it will be toward the earth center. It is always towards the earth center. If it is here, so you say the gravitational force will be acting toward the earth's center. That means saying vertically down is not going to be always true. That means in this situation, if you are drawing this vertically down, that will be the wrong case, because this acts towards the earth center. So this gravitational force is going to act toward the earth center. So direction is earth center. In general, in case of earth, it seems like this. So we will draw it this. So this is the another point where it acts. So this force acts at the basically it acts at all the points, but point of action can be thought of the central point, and that's called center of gravity. So it acts at center of gravity. So what is the center of gravity? Is it we can define in using this point itself, that the center of gravity is a point where the entire weight of the object is assumed to be acting. So we will be learning more about the center of gravity later on. And here you can remember that this gravitational force acts at the center of gravity, which is basically the central point of uniform mass distribution. And it's directed toward the earth center, that means surface of earth, and it's equal to m into g. That's all. So it's a vector quantity. You know the magnitude, you know direction, you know where it acts. That means you know all the information about this gravitational force. Next force that we will be dealing is this normal reaction. Generally, we denote it as N for normal reaction. Sometimes I will write like NR for normal reaction. Avoiding N, you can use N. Generally, N is used for Newton. So if you want to avoid the confusion, you can write small r so that it becomes normal reaction. Now, what is this magnitude and direction of this force? So you will say magnitude is not fixed. Magnitude is not fixed. Unlike in the case of weight, in weight magnitude is fixed by the formula W is equal to mg. But for normal reaction, there is a new formula that gives you normal reaction. It is calculated by using the figure and the condition of that figure. But you need to know the direction. So what is the direction? And direction, now this force is a contact force, right? This is a contact force, so you need to see the contact surface which is common to the two objects which are in contact. And the force is normal. It's a perpendicular to the contact surface. So you can write it is perpendicular. Let me write properly. Perpendicular to contact surface. Now you know this force is a vector quantity, so that has a precise direction. And contact surface, you talk about a contact surface, it can have a two direction. That's a downward as well as upward to the surface. So which one is the direction? To clear that thing, we need to add some more point. So the direction is perpendicular to contact surface, and it is push effort. Push effort. As you know, this is a push effort. This point will help you to decide which direction has to be drawn. So this is how you can find the direction and where the point of action is. So it acts at the contact surface. So a normal reaction acts at the contact surface, and it is a push effort. its magnitude is not fixed by any formula. That has to be based on the question that you are taking care, that is you are considering. And its name suggests it's a normal, that means perpendicular to the contact surface. Normal means perpendicular. Reaction means it is reactionary in nature. That means it will come only if there is some action. Now you'll find that first there is action, then comes reaction. It's not going to be otherwise. Reaction cannot come before the action. So that means normal reaction will be coming only if some action is taking place. So what that action is, let me describe that by a single example. So let's take example that will be talking about both direction as well as this normal reaction information. So let's take that example. On a table some book is placed, or on the ground some block is placed. So let's say that block has been placed on this table. Now you can see they are in contact. They are in contact. Whenever there is a contact between two objects, you can call this as one object, this is a two objects. This is the contact surface. You'll find in this contact surface there is going to be a normal reaction acting, right? So if you draw this block separately, let me draw this block separately and see what is going inside, what is taking place at the contact surface. And let's take this table as well. So that's one, that is two. You'll find now they are still in contact. We have just drawn separately so that we can see what's going inside. Then you'll find this is being pushed up by ground. So this pushing force is called normal reaction. Normal reaction. And similarly, the block is going to push this table as well. Let me draw downside. So this pushing is also taking place in the downside. So you see these forces, they are perpendicular to the contact surface. Yes, they are perpendicular. And they are pushing in nature. Yes, they are pushing in nature for both of it, right? So this is also going to be called normal reaction. So normal reaction is a contact force. It acts on the contact surface and it acts perpendicular to the surface, and it is pushing in nature, so it's always push the surface, whether it's the surface of block, whether it's the surface of ground, or the table, whatever you have considered it, right? It has always to be perpendicular. It has always to be perpendicular, right? So and it's a reactionary. Why it is a reactionary? This was reactionary because when you placed it, gravitational force acting downside, that came into play. So because of the gravity, normal reaction has to be coming. So here the gravitational force was the action. When you place this block on this surface, then you'll find gravity force will be coming in, that would like to push this earth downside. As it tries to push the earth downside, earth immediately reacts with this normal reaction. Similarly happens on the ground as well. So that's a reactionary. Now let me give you one more example that will clarify how to exactly draw the normal reaction in case of some arbitrary cases. So another example I'm plotting over here, or giving over here. Let's say we have this example. There's a wall and there's a ground. On this ground wall arrangement, there's an object, or you can say there's a rod placed in. That's a rod. And somebody says draw normal reaction of this rod, or draw the forces on this rod. So we can think of this A and B is the rod, and it is at rest. Let's think about. So what we are going to do, we are going to draw this rod separately, and we'll see what are the forces that is acting and how we can show those forces. So this is the rod, we are seeing it separately. The force that we have understood is one, and if it is carrying mass, every rod carries mass, so it's going to experience a force due to gravity, and that force is downside. So downside force of the gravity, it acts at all the points. So where we can show it, we have understood that it is at the center point. So you go to the center point and call that there's going to be force downside. So this is one of the force that you need to show. Which one force this? This is a weight or gravitational, where it acts at the center point, and how much it is? mg. In which direction it is? Downside, because Earth is downside. So this is one force that you have understood and you can apply in all cases. Now we need to see contact force, where this rod is in contact. You see this rod is a contact at this point A as well as at this point B. So wherever there is a contact, there is going to be contact force called normal reaction. So we need to draw the direction of normal reaction at A at B. Now this is a one point contact. So we need to first of all find the common contact surface. Now this is a point contact, so you will not find a surface. But you need to see that out of the two objects which are in contact, the ground and the rod, there is going to be a plane or surface of contact. How you can identify either of the surface will be known as contact surface. So you see this is the contact surface, the surface of the ground on which it is contact. So if it is a surface, so perpendicular direction is going to be this. That means normal reaction at point A will be acting in the vertical direction. Now in vertical there are two directions. One is upward direction, another is downward direction. Which one to be applied? Now since we are writing on this rod and at this point we are trying to find the normal reaction, so it has to be perpendicular to the contact surface and it has to be pushing in nature. That means it should be so that it pushes this point. That means it must be in the upward direction. So we will say this is the normal reaction at point A. Are you getting this point? This is how we will draw the direction. For normal reaction, the most important aspect is the direction. And it has to be perpendicular to the contact surface. In this case, and identifying the contact surface was easy because both had the surface. In this case, one object has point contact, another is a surface contact. So you take the surface contact and make a perpendicular line. You say the normal reaction will be along that line. Then at any point where you are drawing, it has to be pushed. That means arrow has to be towards that object. Making sense? Now let's come to this B point. Now you see this B point contact surface is going to be this one. Since this is a contact surface, so normal reaction has to be perpendicular to the surface. That means it is going to be horizontal. Now in case of horizontal, there are going to be two choices. One is going to be this, another is going to be opposite. Now if we draw in this way, that the arrow that you are able to see, it is going to be acting as a pull effort, but we know this is a push effort. So it has to be the earlier direction. That means it has to be simply this. So the normal reaction at B point will be shown like this, right? So at any point we can show the normal reaction. Where the normal reaction is going to be, it's a contact. So you need to see where this rod is in contact. It is at point A on the ground. So A will have a normal reaction which will be perpendicular to the contact surface and pushing effort. Then at B there is a contact. If somebody says, is there any normal reaction at C point? You say no, because C point is not in contact with any surface. So this normal reaction is a contact force that acts perpendicular to the contact surface, and it is this push effort. This point you need to remember. And this another that you have drawn is gravitational force. That means this is basically a picture of a rod that shows all the forces that are all the forces. Means the forces, two forces that you have learned. We will learning other forces as well, and then we will see whether they are acting there or not. When we talk about the forces, we always talk about the forces that are external. This force is external to the rod. This mg is also external to the rod. This n is also external to the rod, because forces can be categorized in various ways. Sometimes it is categorized as external and internal. Internal means there are forces acting between the molecules of these rods because they are tied together. That forces we are not bothering about because they are internal forces, they are equal and opposite, their sum is always zero. So whenever we draw the force, these forces are external forces. So till now we have understood two types of forces. One is the weight, another is the normal reaction. Okay, now let's move ahead. Okay, let me give you a question based on the learning about normal reaction, and uh, you need to give the answer of this question. Question says find the correct diagram showing normal reactions. So this is the situation whenever we have this kind of shaded stuff or this kind of arrangement. So this is called fixed. So when we show this kind of thing, that means this is indicating this is a fixed structure. In this fixed structure, you have placed a rod which is contact with this fixed rigid structure at A as well as at C. Then there's a sphere which has been placed over here, which is in contact with the rod as well as with the contact with this wall. So these are the walls of some arrangement. And there have been 4 diagrams shown to you. These 2 for rods, these 2 for sphere. And in all of them, only normal reaction have been shown. So we need to see which diagram is correctly representing about the normal reactions. So out of 4, you need to choose the correct option and then choose this correct option given the comment section. Next lecture I will let you know the correct one, and then we will proceeding for the next or further type of forces in detail. Okay, so that's for this video. Thank you everyone. Have a great time.